I loved Chrono Ark, and it's one of the best games I've played this year. It being my first entry into the deck builder roguelike genre, it'll always be special to me. I was excited to venture further into the genre and was happy when someone recommended a game I hadn't heard of before, One Step from Eden. Without delay, I installed the game and proceeded to have a time. Eden is the last shining beacon of hope in a bleak post-war world. That is the extent of the story found here. Sure, you probably didn't come to this game looking for a groundbreaking story, but some background knowledge would be appreciated. There are cutscenes when you beat a run, which I won't discuss in detail here, but I really feel like they didn't add much to the story. It boiled down to, did you save somebody or not? And maybe it's unfair to expect anything here, as Chrono Ark may be the exception with its excellent, even if predictable, story. Part of me would still like to have even a small blurb about what war happened, why is Eden safe, and who even are these people we're playing as. While I wanted more substance, I didn't dock a ton of points here. Maybe it was intentional, and it was meant to be more like an arcade game. The art style and the music, both of which I thought were great and perfectly suited for the game, convinced me I could see this in an arcade cabinet. However, I fear for the amount of repairs the machines would have had after the frustrations I had with the gameplay. This game definitely has a learning curve, and people saying they've played 40 hours without getting frustrated are lying. Coming from Chrono Ark, I felt ready to tackle another deck builder, but this feels less like a deck builder and more of a bullet hell. So you start the game as one of 9 characters, most of which feel useless to me, but I'll get to that later. You battle through levels, choose your path to the big boss. Do you want to just fight enemies? Go for extra loot? Fight a mini-boss? Or try to save these useless citizens? I mean seriously, if you just take a few steps over to the left, you'd be safe. The turret's not going to move. The bosses in this game have a good variety and are characters you can unlock to play, using similar movesets as you would use. The order of bosses change every playthrough, so you'll never know when you'll run into them. My least favorite had to be the Ice Sword user and the Purple Magic Caster, both of which use the most spammy attacks imaginable. My favorite though is our out-of-place musician, who uses speakers to attack and has a satisfying attack pattern where you have to move to the beat to gain shields to survive an attack. It's the one time in this game I feel your movements are very purposeful. And on that note, let's talk about my biggest issue with the game. The combat, which is almost the entirety of the game. Go ahead, get your skill diff get good comments out of the way. But I just don't know how someone would legitimately be able to progress through this game using just any old character. Mid-run is where it really becomes a problem, as everything is going so fast that you're going to get melted without many ways to heal. There was a point that I almost gave up on this game. Run after run after run, continuously failing towards the end to bosses I had beaten when they appeared earlier in the game. But then a light appeared in front of my eyes. Something's rising, and it's not the shield hero, but my confidence in being able to finally complete a run. Taking a page out of Beaufory's book, I decided a full-blown shield build was the way to go. And oh boy, it was. After switching to the shield build, I was able to complete 3 consecutive runs and get all the endings back to back. Having a deck of only 10 to 15 cards, with only 2 of them being damage spells. Everything else gave me shields. Did it take me an hour to finish a run? It sure did. Was it worth it? Absolutely. It reminded me of my time in Chrono Ark when I did a shield build, getting insanely high numbers to become untouchable. But with Chrono Ark, there were several other viable strats and builds you could go for. Here, I felt forced into shield every time if I wanted a chance at winning. There were several times throughout my shield runs where I said, I honestly don't see how you could do this without a ton of shield. It becomes so spammy and so fast paced that you would have to devote hours and hours of time learning every single attack pattern, and I just don't have the time to do that. I think the problem lies in both the lack of healing spells and the speed of the game. In my time, I only found one card and one relic that would heal me. Otherwise, I had to buy it from the shopkeeper or save the stupid citizens. Had there been just a few more sustained spells or relics, I may have fared better with other characters. And I'm not asking for there to just be tons and tons of healing spells, because at that point, you could just do whatever you want and heal from everything. But having just a few more sustained spells that took a little bit of thought to perfectly use them and maximize them couldn't hurt here. The other problem is the speed, which makes it almost impossible to truly synergize things. There is an option to slow the game down a bit, but even trials of this only slightly helped with the pace. As I played the game more and more, I found certain cards I wanted to run since they complemented each other, but executing the true synergies between them was still extremely rare. I often opted to use cards that required no aim or setup, choosing a button spam approach if I wasn't playing a shield build. But even now, as I'm recording this, I've only beaten the game with the shield build. I think largely that this is a game where you have to spend extensive amounts of time memorizing attack patterns, learning what is best suited on each character, and praying for a good loot pool. While I normally don't have a big issue with this, I tend to shy away from games that require high levels of dedication like this, since I don't have the time anymore to dedicate extensive hours learning that, and the frustrations that come with such a high learning curve. Had the game not been as fast-paced as it is, I think I wouldn't have had such a large issue with this and would have found more enjoyment with the game. Overall, One Step from Eden was an enjoyable experience once I found the cheese strats to win, earning an 8 out of 10. If you enjoy meticulously studying bosses and perfecting every last detail about your runs at extremely high speeds, this is for you. If you're looking for a more relaxed roguelike where you can still have some fun messing around with builds and trying to strategize, I'd personally say this isn't for you. The difficulty at later stages and runs requires optimizations and setups that just discourages build experimentation. If you have all the time in the world to play, that may not be an issue. But if you're someone like me who's not looking to sink your life into it, you may have a problem. And yes, I may just be bad at the game, and I fully recognize that. But I just wanted to put it out there as it's not a chill deck builder. But amidst all this, I will say I had a ton of fun with the shield build, and felt so accomplished when I finally beat a run. Which is honestly what boosted this score up to an 8. And I'm sure I would have similar feelings of accomplishment had I beat it with any other character. And I think that's a really good feeling for a game to give you. But, like I said, if you like high speed intensity, you should play this game. I just don't know if I'll touch it very much going forward. Oh yeah. I forgot to mention that the person who recommended this hadn't even played the game yet, and I've heard since then he has picked it up. So if you're watching this, and you know who you are, I hope the shopkeeper gives you nothing but trash and you suffer without a shield build like I did. And with that, I will see you next time, where we will review an anime about becoming somebody's dog.